Today we are flying with American Airlines in business class. We're flying from Los Angeles to London Heathrow. Our ride for today will be a Boeing 777-300. American Airlines has been getting some very mixed reviews lately. It was United that struggled post-COVID, but it seems that American has taken over that baton. In 2025 it was ranked the worst airline in the US, with the most cancellation, customer complaints and near the bottom for on-time arrivals. Basically, if something could go wrong, it probably did. So naturally, I booked a ticket. So, am I in for a rough ride or is the internet getting it wrong? Let's find out. In this video, I will rate the flight across 6 categories, give it an overall score and share my honest final thoughts at the end. And as always, let me know your experiences with American Airlines in the comments. Before heading home, we had a short break visiting Disneyland, Universal Studios, the beautifully located Getty Museum and one of my personal favorites, the Peterson Automotive Museum. We just left the Hilton next to Universal Studios and are in an Uber heading off to the airport. On a good day, it's about a 45-minute drive. On a bad day, it can take up to 3 hours. Today we got lucky, it was around 50 minutes. We've got an evening flight, so there's plenty of time for us to spend at the airport. Check-in for American Airlines is at Terminal 4, right next to the Bradley International Terminal. See that man behind the small desk as we enter the terminal? Yeah, neither did we. Turns out that was the flagship check-in. You know, the premium experience you're supposed to get when flying business class. We just confidently walked right past him like we knew what we were doing. I only noticed that was the flagship entry when I was editing this video. I didn't see it. And yes, we walked past the same desk again on the way to security. We're totally clueless. Just like check-in, security was really quiet, so it really didn't matter this day. Terminal 4 is currently being renovated with completion expected in 2027. I must say the security looked finished, but beyond that it still feels like the old terminal. We have access to the Flagship Lounge and we are heading there. We have been here before and it's an okay lounge when it's not too busy, and today it wasn't too busy. We were offered champagne on arrival in the lounge, which is always a nice touch. The buffet had plenty of options, but there is no flagship dining at this location, and also there's no staff bar, you just help yourself to drinks. When this lounge gets busy, it's not a great place to be, but today it really worked well. After moving seats a couple of times and spending a bit of time here, it was eventually time to head off to the gate. This part of the terminal is still under construction, so I had to go through the infamous tunnel. It's only about 4 minutes, but it feels much longer. And at the other end, chaos. The new section was completely packed, we could barely even find the gate entrance. Boarding group 2 That's cute, we're all just one big boarding group now. Our ride for tonight is a 12-year-old Boeing 777-300 featuring 8 first class seats and 52 business class seats across 2 cabins. We turned right upon boarding. I was seated in row 12 by the window. Bedding and slippers were already waiting at the seat. The seat itself is quite open by today's standards, but still felt private enough. This is the older product, not the newer Flagship suite. To my left, the remote for the entertainment system, lighting controls, seat controls and a universal power outlet. There's also a handy cupboard for storage and another open space below. The footwell was spacious too, not too cramped, which I really appreciate. The screen was fine, good for its time, but it's starting to feel dated. The amenity kit is about the size of a pencil case and is surprisingly difficult to open, for me at least. Once inside, there really isn't much there. An eye mask, dental kits, earplugs, hand lotion and a lip balm. Honestly, this might be one of the least generous kits I've seen. Let me know if you had worse. Once again, at the seat next to the engine, the massive GE90. Unfortunately, it was too dark to get any good footage. We pushed back and we had about a 30-minute delay, not too bad for them to recover. Although the captain did mention strong headwinds tonight.
That's why your safety is so important to us. So let's go over some in-flight instructions so that we can get you safely on your way.
Testing the screen, I had a dud. It was very unresponsive, so I ended up using the remote for most of the flight. Service began with a Coke and some warm nuts for me, always a good start. Let's have a look at the menu. The starter was served with the salad. I have to say I was really not impressed. The rice cake was rock hard and the corn really didn't add much in terms of flavor. My wife, who is a celiac and requires a gluten-free meal, was served this. 2 salads and 2 shrimp. It just doesn't look great. My main did improve things, a not tasting chimichurri and overall just very bland. The gluten-free main, also doubled as a diabetic meal, actually did have some flavor. And the best thing of these meals was actually the little card my wife got with all the nutritional information and ingredients, something I would like to see on all the meals. I skipped American Airlines' famous ice cream sundae and went for cheese instead. There was no dessert at all for my wife. I will rate the food later, but I already have a feeling that this is going to hurt the final score. I watched the movie and managed to get a couple of hours of sleep After that, I just really struggled to fall back asleep, just drifting in and out. That said, it's still very special to be able to lie flat and sleep on a plane. I do really appreciate it. Some seasoned travelers use sleeping aids to deal with the jet lag. I try to avoid that. What about you? Do you have any tips to sleep better on a long flight? Let me know in the comments. I was going to watch some YouTube on my iPad and tested the Wi-Fi speed. Both the download and the upload were pretty decent. I can't actually find any record of paying for it, so it might have been free, I'm not sure. Breakfast arrived, and honestly I don't know what to say. If this was a prison, we'd probably be rioting right now. My wife's gluten-free breakfast somehow even looked worse, like a child's drawing of a meal. Creative but not very appetizing. The UD muffin actually wasn't too bad. I haven't really talked about the crew yet, and it was really a mixed experience. Some were friendly and engaging, others just came across quite rude. They were proactive but not particularly attentive. For example, no drink was still on the ground, and I was never offered a second drink during or after the meal. Let's talk about the cost. The cost of this flight was 3,400 euros. This is the return leg of the BA flight I had before coming into Los Angeles, and it was ticketed by British Airways. So for a 12-hour flight in business class, it is actually quite well priced. What was a nice touch from American, we received an invitation to the Arrivals Lounge at Heathrow before the landing. Sunlight really made it hard for me to film outside of the window. It was really scratched up. Despite the headwinds and the early delay, we still arrived on time.
Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off, and keep the aisles clear of all carry-on items.
We completely missed the flagship check-in and the security due to poor signage and us of course being idiots. Security itself, it was fast, but the walk through the construction site was depressing, and the boarding was an absolute nightmare. So 5 out of 10. The lounge, not too busy, champagne on arrival, decent buffet, no major downsides, but no standout features either. The 6.4. The seat was comfortable but aging, the poor touchscreen I had, weak amenity kit, but otherwise functional. The 6.5. The food just was no good across the board, especially disappointing for the special meals. A 3. The crew were very inconsistent, overall really lacking engagement. I wasn't impressed. 5.5. The value is actually going to bump it up, although the experience was very bad and the ticket price was very competitive on this route at this time. So it's going to get a 7.8. But that was for the ticket price and not the overall experience. It gives us an overall score of 5.7 out of 10, and that's pretty low on my scale, but I think it's fair. In a previous video I reviewed United, and despite their struggles they delivered a much better experience than this. I pay for my own flights, and this will definitely influence my future choices. I'm not here to be overly critical, I try to be as fair as possible and forgiving, but this simply just wasn't good enough. From the food to the boarding chaos to the inconsistent crew, too much went wrong to call this a one-off. We arrived at Heathrow's Terminal 3 and we need to transfer to Terminal 5, so that's going to be by bus for our connection to Amsterdam. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts on American Airlines in the comments. Was I too harsh? Let me know. Thank you for watching, stay safe and see you in the next one. Bye bye.